head. So for me, I'm wearing the glasses because we're doing education this week. Don't forget to buy me a coffee because I like coffee. Now I had enough coffee this morning. I'm drinking water this morning.
Hey man, I got
But
my tea.
you got your tea. They should have an app called Buy Me a Tea. But going down my notes here, I had so many thoughts. I had to organize them here because I would say most people watching us enjoy education, and many of the comments have thanked us for the education, and I like that. One girl this morning commented on one of my videos a few weeks ago that I would give this an A+ if it didn't have the music. I know the editors sometimes help us out,
If it
and
didn't
my
have the
editor.
music?
Well, it's supposed to be background music, not me like playing any instruments. And the
Oh.
background music was a little loud, but it's a guy we have come in, a young guy comes in once a week, does some editing for us. And then he leaves, and then we're like, it's too loud. We want it lower, but the video's so good. Let's just go ahead and post it anyway. So, we take some chances. Learning how to build an audience on YouTube is a sacrifice you and I are making right now in our educational world. We're messing it up, playing music too loud till we get it right.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Eddie's messed up real bad.
Look. I'm every week we do this stream. Okay, so we stream on Thursday, right? Today's Thursday. On Monday, I'm calling Bernard, freaking out. Crap, we got to stream in 3-4 days. What do I do? How do I do this?
And you always do fine. Even when you think you mess up, you don't. So some of the most important things about education to me, and I got to use an example. First of all, do you have the charts we talked about? Anything? Any of the visuals on? I don't remember the exact numbers, but think about it like this. We have all these senses, right? I mean, five, I think. Most of us, unless you're like a superhero, you might have another one or two, but most of us normal people have 5 senses. And when we learn, it can be 1 sense, right? You could just read something to learn it, and then it was just, God, I guess you'd call that visual, but it's not like the most of the hairdresser visual world where we see something artistic. But then if you're in a class, whether it's on YouTube and you hear it and you see it, but if you're in an in-person class where you hear it, see it, and do it. So basically, I think most people know where I'm going. The more senses you get involved, the better you're going to remember it. But right here, I got this incredible story of a salon. I think you met Nikessa when she was in town for a class at my salon.
Oh yeah.
This girl named Nikessa works at a salon that Ali, the hair ninja, owns. It's called Esoterica. I think they have one in Dallas and one in Fort Worth. And he puts this plan to action the way it should be. I don't know if it's accidental. I don't know if he gets it completely or if he just, because I know a lot of things in my life I just do. People say, oh, you're so great at that. And I'm like, oh, that's totally accidental, but thank you. And so for him, these steps he does are incredible because he's come to a couple of my classes, but this last one was the beaded topper. He sent Nikessa to. She comes to the class. He couldn't make it. Immediately, he has her teach it back to the staff at the salon. And I was like, oh, my God. See, I always say after you learn it, do it right away. That's the most important thing. Do it right away so that you've put it all to practice on a mannequin, on a friend. I recommend free the first time so you have a good excuse for messing up. I'm trying to hone my skills, learn this new technique. But Ali does it a step further and then even further. And you're going to love this one. He has whatever stylist goes to a class, come back, immediately scheduled to teach it to the whole salon. Both salons, actually, they'll all go to one location. Mm-hmm. And then he starts advertising on his Facebook for money and charges other hairdressers in town to come learn this new class that they did. So I'm like, wow, that is the ultimate. He's gone from paying to learn it to making money to teach it with a few steps in the middle. That's the ultimate way to learn something and drive it home and get it. He's got it. By the time he's teaching it, he's an expert at it before he's even got a handful of clients.
And what you're saying there is the whole commit to memory. There's a whole psychological science behind it. When somebody tells you something, you need a certain amount of repetition for it to be committed to memory. you need a further certain amount of repetition for it to be committed to your body, right? And you have to practice to master that skill, whether it's mentally, visually, verbally, physically, all the different ways that we go about to do things. Especially when I'm teaching classes, I'm always saying, when we're teaching extensions, I'm always telling the stylist, trust your hands. Don't listen to your brains. Trust your hands.
Trust your what? Trust your what?
Hands.
What are you saying there?
Your
Trust your what?
Hands. I don't. How do you say? Oh, wait. I could do your accent. This is how Bernard says it. Hands.
You said it right. That's right.
You see what I have to do to myself to.
You don't have to do that in a microphone, though. Yeah. Trust your Hans. Trust your Hans. Go ahead.
I love you and hate you all at the same time.
I'm sure. Go right ahead, Hans.
But what it comes down to is,
trust.
With a lot of stuff that we can learn when we're in a classroom setting, when we're learning things generally in life, we can read it, we can write it, we can talk it out, and then we can hear ourselves reading it and writing it and saying it, and it's a way to mentally commit it to memory. Yeah. When we're doing, though, in our industry, because it's so physically artistic, there's that creative mind sense, and then there is the physicality that's got to come for us producing what's mentally in our minds. We have to commit it physically, and that's where we need our bodies to take over. So read it, write it, hear it, commits it to your brains. Now your brains has to communicate to your buddy. Am I saying buddy right, or is I give up. And then your body has to make your hands put it together on head, right?
People know what you mean.
So how you're saying, Nekesa and Ali, they're doing it the right way. They're learning it from us. They're taking it back. They're teaching it to each other. Once they're teaching it to each other, they're teaching it to other people, right? So they're committing it, they're committing it, and then they're doing it. One of the things that I personally do, which you gave me this idea without realizing that you gave me this idea, and I am forever grateful to you for it, Bernard. I have my little corner that I have my mannequin stand and my little station thing set up in the house. Once a week, sometimes more, but at least at a minimum, once a week, I go, I put the whole topper full application onto the mannequin. I do a full remover off the mannequin, and I go through the entire procedure, right? And in the beginning, I would call you and I would say, hey, Bernard, I just put this topper on. I have a question. And you're like, oh, who's the client? I'm like, no, actually, it's the mannequin. He's like, well, you got to do it on a client. I'm like, yes. I'm getting ready for the client, but I'm like doing a dry run over here.
Good.
So that goes along with what you're saying as well, too. If you don't have the ability to teach it to somebody else straight away, in order for you not to lose it and for you not to forget it, you gotta do it some way, somehow.
At least on a mannequin. You're right. And you know what else I thought while you were telling that story? It reminded me that Ali actually texted me a couple of days ago with a couple of questions like you, but it was on a live model. And he said, my model had a few questions. How does she handle this or that? She said, it's hotter. I'm like, yeah, more hair is hotter. Mm-hmm. She's got more hair. I mean, so is a girdle, but many girls wear a girdle to look better. A lot of us guys do some pretty stupid things to look better, uncomfortable, but we do it for the visuals. But the neat thing about when Ali texted me that was I was like, he got a client. When he said my model for this, every time they practice it, teach it to each other, and then sell it, they advertise for live models in the area. So they build a clientele right in their area on the service that they're learning and teaching and doing. So now not only did they make money from the teaching and get the education down, but they've got clients to continue to make money and then market those clients. He posted those clients, thanked the client to me for tagged me for learning it and thanking me for the education. And then it was a marketing thing where he got more clients in his area for doing that. And of course, I'm thanking him for coming to the class and how great they were. And so the marketing was an amazing thing also. So just I want to cover a couple other things real quick in my notes. One is live or in person. Doesn't matter. I mean, I watch a lot of things on YouTube and learn not being, I say live versus in person. Isn't that the same? Live and in person is the same. I meant to say video or
somehow
live and
I knew
in
what
person.
you meant.
Right. So what I'm saying is, you know, as an educator, my first bias was, of course you're going to learn better if you come to me and I can, jokingly, I say, if I can slap your hands. That's wrong.
Oh, I'm not joking. I will slap your hands.
Yeah,
Come to my class.
I don't slap any hands. It's a new world we live in. You got to be so careful to touch anybody wrong. But I can still guide your hands in the right way. Like, no, a little higher, a little lower, a little left, a little right. Your angle's not right. You need more hair. You need less hair. I think that some of those things are difficult. I have people send me a video and I correct them through video, and then it takes longer because they do it all wrong. Mm-hmm. Then they send the video. They do a lot right, but some wrong. And then I correct. So that's still more, that's kind of in between. But I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I've got a lot of hobbies I like. I love beekeeping, and, you know, so how to make a beehive work better, produce more honey. You know, I watch those videos and then I go and manipulate my hives and screw it all up sometimes and kill a bunch of bees on accident. And then last year I got this huge honey crop from my bees, which was exciting, and you totally can't relate to any of this. But it was fun for me. But occasionally I go to a local guy who's holding a little get together and a bunch of beekeepers go, and I'm like, oh my God, seeing him do it in person. And he said, I need a little help over here. Who's got their suit on? Who's got a hive tool? Can you pull some frames out? And then he knocks it out. I'm like, that education physically is so much stronger than just watching on the videos. So I can't discount either one, but I just think in person is so much more powerful if you can do it.
It makes sense what you're saying. I recently had a stylist from Indiana who took our online education, was still struggling a little bit. Something just wasn't clicking. I spoke to her a couple of times on the phone, and we agreed, we made the decision that she was going to drive in. She literally drove an hour and 45 minutes to come to Chicago. Within 10 minutes, she's like, okay, I can go home now. And I'm like, you just drove an hour 45. Do you want to stay a little longer? Let's go over some more stuff, make it worth your while a little bit.
Right.
So she ended up staying the rest of the day, and we ended up doing a lot of more things. I'm like, what else is like you're right there and it just hasn't clicked yet? What else are you just right there on? And we ended up going over a whole bunch of other things. You know, most of it had to do with extensions. Some of it had to do with color because I love talking color so much. But then at the end of the day, she's like, man.
Translation, guys. He's saying color. Go ahead.
Hair color.
Color.
I have to pinch. You realize I have to pinch my throat to be able to do that. It hurts so hard.
Go ahead.
So
you learned
at
everything.
the end of the day, practice makes a perfect, right? How do you get to Carnegie Hall? You practice, yeah? So for anybody that's old enough to remember that, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day is the video works and it makes sense. And some people are more visual. And for a visual and auditory person, they'll be able to receive that information just fine and be able to go and do it just as well. Some people are more kinetic learners. They need that physicality. They can see it, they can hear it, and they can follow along with what's happening, but sometimes it doesn't fully register. And that's where coming in and doing it afterwards, whether it's guided, like you're talking about with your group that you go hang out with, or whether it's coming in, you know, and doing it with us, being able to touch your hand, slap your hand, knock your hand, whatever, you know, look at your hands. That's the difference with with doing it in that way. So the difference between online versus in person, they both have their benefits. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you got to do what's the most comfortable. In my personal opinion, yeah, I'm going to be a little bit, how you call it, like, I have a strong opinion on it. I think nothing beats in person, but there is the ability to learn online just as well, as long as you're willing to be okay with making a mistake and messing up. And at the end of the day, you get it right. And if you ain't getting it right, you also got to be okay enough to be able to say, hey, I need a help, So that's where I'll go with that one. The next thing we'll talk about is how soon and how often, how many times?
Twice,
right? How many times you got to do it after you learn it to really get it down? And that time frame, that window, that time frame.
Everybody's different, I think. Everybody's different. I mean, me and my wife took a spin class once 1 year, and then again about a year later. Mm-hmm. And the lady's saying, "Hey, who's new in this class?" And I'm like, "Hey, raise your hand. I've been coming for a while. You're new." And she goes, "No, I did this last year." I said, "But you're supposed to do it more often than that." So I raised her hand for her. She was all mad. The teacher said, "Oh, hey," and they talk. And then she goes, "I'm not really new." And she goes, "Well, when did you come?" And she goes, "I came last year." And she goes, "A year ago?" And my wife says, "Why? How often do you have to do this?" And I mean, most people know when you work out, it's got to be more often than once a year to be effective. And so I think learning and education probably got to be similar. It's got to be a little more often than just every once in a while. And so it's totally up to you. I mean, to me, I think we're going to close with the last two things. For me, it's motivating. It's a motivator. And so many people on these the hairstylist education forum on Facebook, so many people are talking about, I'm getting burnt out. What career should I go into? I'm in a rut. Should I raise my prices? I'm booked so solid, I don't know what to do. Mm. And I feel like there is always something else you can do. That's the motivating part. You have to decide to go further in what you're doing, do the next step. I'm putting a series together right now called the Stylist Journey on here on this YouTube channel. And we're slowly releasing one a week. And for me, it's just going through the path, the way I see it in my head, from before you went to school, choosing the right school, the right job, the right salon, building a clientele. And one of the ones is a lot of people, they are really, really sad when they have no clients and no money. And then it's neat to be in the job world for a little while and watch at the exact same time I'm watching stylists in my salon, the ones we had on here not too long ago, kind of new. They're really hungry. They're more frustrated that they don't have enough than that they have enough. And at the same time, I'm reading on Facebook, I have too much. I hate my life. I don't know what to do. I'm burned out. All I do is hair all day, every day. I need something to fill me up. Well, you just got your book filled up, but that wasn't enough. And I get it. We all need change. We need to grow and move forward. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of people, it's raising prices, focusing on some services you actually enjoy doing, working different days, whether it's more or less. So, instead of complaining that you're not happy in your life, move forward. And maybe education is the answer because it's motivational. It gets you excited. You meet other people at these classes. That's one of the things I like about the in-person class. You meet other people that are either where you are and you can just, talk about your sorrows with them. But usually you meet people that are not where you are yet. And it can be fulfilling to say, hey, all you have to do is this, this, and this, and you can be where I am. Miserable. But you don't say miserable. You just say you could grow and get to where I am. Then you feel proud of where you are because you're further along than them and you don't feel the misery. But then at the same time, you're that person where you look at somebody ahead of you who's doing way better, way happier, way more money, and you're like, oh, let's be friends. Let's exchange. Let's friend requests on Facebook. Let's exchange cell phone numbers, and they're happy to help. I'm always happy to help somebody do better. So that leads me to my very last point for the day: get a mentor. Find somebody that is doing much better than you, or even a little better, and just ask them if they'll guide you, hang out with you, talk to you once a week. I've got a few young businessmen in this town. One has a CrossFit gym, and I'm not CrossFit worthy, but it's a business. And the other has a karate studio. They both look to me and talk to me. I mean, some things they don't need me as much as they act like they need me. I think they're just stroking my ego. But sometimes they call me with a challenge or a question that's going on in their business. And I'm thinking, wow, I've been through that so many times. This is so easy to fix. Fire her, you know?
Yeah, right.
Sometimes it's like, most of the time, you know what it is? Most of the time it's like, that's not a big deal. You're making it a big deal in your head. Let it go. Don't even worry about it. But they're saying blah, 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 blah. I know. And it'll disappear in a few days or a week or two.
But see,
they just want.
That's the benefit of having a mentor, Bernard. You being able to talk it out with somebody else, bounce an idea off of each other. We have the ability. It was brought to my attention recently that I have the ability to disconnect my emotional investment in a scenario and try to look at it from a logical perspective. I self-consciously do that, especially during educational times, because some people know, don't know. Some people are advanced, some people are starting. You got to be mindful of all of those and bring them all together under one umbrella without insulting anybody. And we all got to bring everybody up. If you're here, you got to go here. If you're here, you got to be brought up to here to be able to go here. So the mentorship is a huge thing. It's really super important, right? The last thought I'll leave everybody with is the frequency. You got to do something within 48 hours to commit it. You got to repeatedly do something for a week or two to get it in your body, right? And then just like an athlete, you play out your season. You play out your day, your week, your month, your whatever. And then on the off season, which is for a hairdresser, within 3 months, fashion changes, style changes, season changes. You got to come back. You got to revisit. Whether you do it in person, whether you do it online, whether you do it by yourself just by researching the YouTubes, the internets, the Googles, the goggles, the apples, the fruitcakes, all the different things, mediums that are out there with all the social medias and stuff. That's, you got to do something. Otherwise, yes, you will get tired. You will get burned out. You will get into a rut. And if you're not able or willing to do that much, at least get a buddy, whether it's a mentor or whether it's a compatriot that you can, knock heads and bounce ideas off of. You got to do something to get that stimulation going. Otherwise, your brain starts to rot. The sooner,
the better.
Yep.
The sooner, the better.
The sooner, the better.
Eddie says 48 hours, but really the sooner, the better.
Mm-hmm.
We have got to end it there. I'm too attention deficit. My time limit is up, guys. Thank y'all for watching.
Thank you. Yeah, and when you guys, if you're going to come into Chicago, Richard, look us up, man. We'll hang out. We'll do some stuff. All right, everybody. Listen, your comments, let us know. As always, we always appreciate it. It keeps you going.
Coffee.
Say again?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Coffee.